Okay, so why don't we introduce ourselves again and then we'll jump into the topics.
All right.
I'm Moblord, I'm a Twitch admin. Hi.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I run LiveSpace.
What's up, guys? I'm Chris. I'm the founder and editor in chief of Streamer News.
So let's talk about streamer news real quick.
Just to recap, we just launched a new website design. Tomorrow will be the official launch, March 1st, which will be our 1 year. I kind of wanted to soft launch it on the podcast just because I feel like everybody in here I've built with work wise and also as a personal friendship. So we launched a new website and the design is really sleek. We spent about 2 months or so, Freakish Alloy and I, Matt, doing research and trying to figure out what we liked from our favorite websites and pull that in a way that it looked good for everybody and everybody was happy with. The old website was cool, but I mean, I compare it to kind of like growing up in a way. I wanted the new look to be modern and sleek and have different sections that actually offer people something. So like one of the guide sections, all the top guides that I work with, either Moblord or other Twitch admins to go to, and you can go in and figure out how to set up a dual PC setup or basic Twitch frequently asked questions and things like that. Tomorrow we're also going to be doing giveaways with SteelSeries, Elgato, Twitch, Twinge, and Designed by Humans Gaming.
Nice. That's a solid lineup there.
Yeah. That's really pretty awesome when you think about it, Chris, because 1 year you've gotten a lot done in 1 year. You kind of went from not being in the space at all to having 5,000 plus Twitter followers and becoming like a go-to source of news in the streaming community for Twitch news in general. And I think that's really commendable, Chris. So
Thank you.
You should be
I appreciate
you should be proud of that.
Thank you.
And how for how long have you worked on the new website?
About 2.5 months or so. That's from
Nice.
design to and also I'm sorry, Baplad, he's in chat right now. Without him, none of this would be possible. Nothing would be working. There'd be times where I would try to do things, and it would break, and he would have to fix them, and definitely happened a few more times than I wanted to. But he has the patience of a saint. So thank you, Baplad. You are the man.
So what we're doing here on Streamer News is we often talk about the news from Streamer News, right? So let's so should we just dig into that and just get started with it?
Yeah. So one of the things that happened since our last podcast 2 weeks ago, 20 plus Twitch creative artists are teaming up to create an art book on Kickstarter. Right now, the project is about $6,700 funded out of 18,000. There's 16 days to go. Hopefully it'll get backed. It'll be pretty cool. It'll be like a coffee art book with all Twitch creative artists. I know I would buy it for sure. I've backed the project as well. I think it'd be cool to have that as the first Twitch creative book. I like stuff like that.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the page right now, and I think it's I have I'm a creative myself, so I love other creatives. I love when people just go out there and create something. And looking at the artwork that has been done here, or looking at artwork in general on Twitch right now, it's pretty amazing to see what people are coming up with. The only thing that kind of always gets me kind of thinking and kind of not annoys me, but I see it as a problem, is the fact that a lot of creatives have no idea about how to do branding and marketing for themselves. As an illustrator, you don't need to be able to do marketing for other people, but you kind of need to start doing marketing and branding for yourself. And I think that is specifically on Twitch that is a bit of an issue. I don't know if that's something that any of you two have ever thought about at all.
What, branding being an issue?
For specifically for creative streamers, seeing that there's kind of a new category on Twitch and all that.
I mean, I guess it would depend. I kind of would expect creative streamers to have better branding than regular broadcasters since they are creative. But then again, I mean, some could be creative and some might not have like the marketing capabilities of like knowing what to do or what things should look like. I don't know. I watched Twitch Creative. I enjoyed. I haven't really like thought about it though. No.
See, I think about that stuff. I like to think about that stuff because one of my ventures here in Sweden right now is trying to kind of figure out how to help creatives be creative and kind of take away all that burden of having to think about the marketing and branding, because a lot of specifically illustrators and also certain artists, yes, they can create beautiful artwork, but that's not really branding. That's just something that's really visual, and plenty of times they don't really know how to reach the audience that they need to reach. And to bring this back to Twitch specifically, with creative things being such a new category, I think that they need to start looking at how they should market themselves on Twitch. I know that might be a little bit crazy, so thinking about for certain creative streamers that think that they got branding checked, but plenty of them don't. And I just want them to start thinking about that.
What do you think, Mob?
Yeah, well, you've got Drowskia in the chat. I think I saw Drowskia. She does a really good job of branding. She has, good portfolio, good website, good presence. She has kind of a manager. She has it kind of put together. I think a lot of people in the creative space do have the background where they used to have to fend for themselves, before Twitch Creative was a thing, and they have a pretty good idea of what to put in for a website. They have a pretty good idea of what to how to package themselves and brand themselves and build a portfolio. But then you have some other people who maybe started on Twitch Creative, and for those they probably need some additional resources and help, how to get discovered. I think that one of the other things that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes is about commissions. So talking about how Twitch is enabling people to start taking commissions, that's a step forward in the right direction. And maybe there's other things that Twitch could do. Maybe there is like a directory or guide that Twitch could put out, or I don't know, there might be other ideas for this section. It's kind of a new area, and we're still learning what works and what doesn't. And I think it'd be really cool to have places where people can go to find emotes, and really cool to have a place where people can say, okay, I have an overlay, I have a budget of XYZ, let's see who's available to take a commission on that kind of thing. I think it'd be really cool. So yeah, I'm excited about the creative directory in general. Obviously some of the people aren't mature or don't have the experience yet to have that full branding thing that you're talking about, to create their own image, not just create other people's. But we'll get there. It's still new.
Since we're talking about creative, we might as well just talk about the commission button that Twitch launched recently. The only thing, like right now, I think it's cool like that they introduced it because it goes into a whisper. But in the future, I would like to see some type of structure that people could use or go to besides just opening it in a whisper. Maybe I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'd have to think about it more as far as like what I would want to see. But I think it opening in a whisper is cool for now, but it would need to have more structure in the future.
True. I'm guessing it's kind of a test right now because, as I said, it's all it does right now, which is go to a whisper. But it's a step in the right direction. But speaking about just pricing in general, pricing and design also in general is something that is dreadful out there, especially for people who are starting out, people that don't understand how to price things. It is a crazy market, and adding the whole Twitch thing on top of that makes it even crazier. I mean, there are companies and there are people out there, designers, that are trying to survive by making logos for $10 sometimes, or $15 or $20, and it's not realistic to be able to sustain a living on that amount. You would to be able to sustain a living, even if you raise double that, so just double that, you're going to need maybe 100 clients, 50 clients, 20 clients a month.
But
To be able
maybe
to
they're
sustain
not
that.
trying to sustain a living. Maybe they're just trying to get their foot in the door. Maybe they're just trying to get noticed. And, sometimes we have to give away our free work for a while just to get
But
our
it's
foot in the
not.
door. I had to give away work. I've never charged for any of my design work. I've done emotes and overlays and stuff. And
But
but yes, I agree that that's not probably fair to the people who are trying to make a living doing it. But at the same time, you got to get your foot in the door, right? How else are you going to learn?
It's
but there's a
true.
but there's a big difference between I'm not saying that they're not taking away any work from anyone. I'm just put it out there. If anyone who charged that amount, they're not taking away job from anyone. Specific enough from someone who charged a higher fee. There's no competition. There are two different lanes in that sense. You want a high rate and low rate, and that's one professional, one isn't professional, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, we have to look at uh, how you're selling yourself, and if I've been talking a lot in Discord channel for r/Twitch, specifically the creative channel, and been trying to help creatives kind of help them market themselves and help them figure out their pricing and all that stuff. Um, for the main reason, if they want to do this, then they should be able to survive on it. And I don't like when people don't go for it. I'm a person that always go for it, and I want other people to go for it as well. But the main point here is that charging $15, charging $20 is not getting your foot in the door. It's not getting your foot in anywhere. All it does is create a system where you, yes, the one that's creating it, will stay at that rate. You won't be able to go double that rate. You can't really, eventually be like, oh, now I'm charging 200 for this.
So
Because
you mean boxing yourself in and lowering the entire market, basically.
no, you're lowering your own brand. You're kind of throwing your brand away. Because if your brand is, hey, I sell things for $15, okay, then that's not your brand. That's fine. But you have to understand that is now your brand. You are not selling yourself as a person that is selling that type of graphics. And at that price, you will not be able to move away from that for a very long time. It's not flicking a switch and now you're professional. That's not how that works.
I mean, I feel
We
like it's a
all,
learning curve, though. Like, I mean, I don't see a problem with someone starting out and charging that amount of money. And let's say they build up a big portfolio and then their prices go up significantly. I feel like that's kind of the way it works. Like, let's say you charge $15 for an
Well,
emote now, and then a year from now you're charging 50 to 60 because your work has
I actually
improved.
have
Or
seen that. Yeah, like Oogie Beer and some other people started out really, really cheaply, and as their commission slots filled all the way full, and as they got super busy, at one point they're like, okay, I've got to raise my rates, and
yeah,
now they're charging quite a bit more. But I don't know if I have a problem with starting that low, but it's, I guess, a matter of perspective. I don't know if we've seen it long enough in action to be able to say for sure. But
that's what I was gonna say next. It's kind of like
yeah.
there's nothing to look back on and be like, well, this is how it went. Like, this is all still very new for a lot of people, whether you're the client or the broadcaster. I mean, I know if I broadcasted on Twitch, like, I wouldn't want to spend like 60 or 70 bucks an emote if I was partnered, if I didn't know what was going to happen or how many people were going to be in chat. Like, I want to play it on the safe side and just, 15 bucks. Okay, that's doable. Let me get 4 emotes real quick.
Yeah. Well, that's a fair point. I think that's a really fair point to be made. But from my perspective, coming from that area, it is frustrating to see
yeah,
people
well, you
really
you
struggling.
you make your livelihood from it, so I can for sure see
Yeah.
why it would be of concern to you. But I guess yeah, I guess that's a little bit up to the strategy of each individual artist. If you want to start low and then raise your prices, I guess that's a little bit up to them. But yeah, Draskia says she started for free and moved to higher prices, and she's definitely
That
worth higher prices now. So that's really interesting.
starting for free is actually a better practice than starting for $15. Honestly,
Yeah, you might
that
have
will
a
get
point there too.
Yeah.
you will get in faster. You can use that as contact marketing. You can use that to network. It's using the free aspect of it is a lot better than using the $15 to $20 range for even
Okay.
for That's my opinion at least.
All right, let's move on to the next. Let's move on to the next topic here.
Should we discuss the big announcement of TwitchCon in San Diego?
Yeah, let's talk about TwitchCon. By
So
the way,
who is
first of all,
going?
did you both of you go last time, or I know Chris was there?
I
Did you?
went.
I was there. I had
Okay,
breakfast
you were
with
there.
Chris.
Yeah,
Why didn't
at
I see you at
Denny's, we did.
TwitchCon?
Because I was hiding. No, I don't know. I was. It was so new for me. I mean, that was the one thing for me. It was so new, and I don't think we had we talked before that even.
Nah, so like we were like sitting. Well, I went to go meet with the Stream Pro guys for breakfast, and then Daniel was there, and then like we didn't realize like it was each other until like maybe 5 minutes in, and I was like, "Oh, what up, dude?" Like we've talked before. Like, oh my god, you know. But yeah, that's how we met. So yeah, I saw you and I saw Mobile at TwitchCon.
Was it announced how many people were there? I think it was around 20,000 last time, right?
At TwitchCon,
In attendance, yeah, at TwitchCon last time.
but now it's in San Diego instead of San Francisco, which is better, in my opinion.
Yeah, so here's my prediction. Here's my early prediction. I think they're going to have a much higher turnout for San Diego than they would have had for San Francisco again. I think it's just because it's cheaper. You can get hotel rooms, especially if you don't mind walking half a mile or something. Cheaper. There's a lot of restaurants in the area. It's a lot more casual of an area than that tight, one-way street, San Francisco. Tons of dirty bums and, really downtown, hardcore downtown San Francisco, heart of San Francisco. I think you're going to have a much more casual, laid back environment in San Diego. I think you're going to have higher attendance. I mean, they're in the same place that Comic-Con is, so that's like 100,000 plus people there easily. They've got the room for it. Now, who knows how many tickets TwitchCon will sell. Maybe they'll be roping off 2/3 of it for us. I have no idea, but 20,000 seems like awful low now, considering that was the first one. A lot of people didn't have time to plan to get in the first one. What is your guess for attendance at the next one?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna say 35,000 plus.
Really? Okay.
35?
I think that's fair.
Wow.
Well, you got to
Yeah.
think San Diego's an hour and a half from LA. I know, like, I talked to Juan and Squazzle in the Discord, and they said they might be just driving up from LA to go to TwitchCon in San Diego instead of actually getting a hotel. Like, they don't know what they're up in the air, but the fact that they can drive to it, I think that will attract more people because it's only an hour and a half from LA.
So this is going to be a 3-day. I mean, I guess that's the other big thing. 3-day instead of 2. Obviously, I was more of a fan of 3-day just because I would do this every weekend if they just paid my way to go. I just love it so much. Cons are like my favorite thing. So 3 days going to seem long to anybody? I think it goes pretty fast. I mean, we're all used to the 3-day pattern for PAXs, right?
I've never been doing PAX before, so I will
Yeah, I mean,
experience
ever?
the first one. No, never.
No.
I think 3 days perfect
Dude.
because I feel like the 2 days last time I didn't have enough time to do things or meet or talk with people.
But
Okay.
one thing for me that was pretty crazy about the whole thing was the jet lag. I traveled for 13 hours, so I was not. I was feeling good while I was there. It was great because I had kind of changed my sleeping pattern before that in Sweden, but when I got back home, I couldn't work for maybe 3 or 4 days. It was impossible to be able to just
Wow.
get in that headspace of now it's dark outside and yeah, I just I didn't like it. I don't know if I actually don't know if I'm going to go next time or
Really?
this time. Yeah, just for that reason. But I might anyway.
Well, I mean,
And-
that's
and
something that a lot of streamers have to consider, and that's something that I've always given as advice to streamers is, maybe it doesn't make sense for everybody to go to every convention. You probably should be more picky and choosy, just because you have to think about it in terms of return on investment, which is a really terrible word that sounds way too corporate that most streamers don't want to think about. But they have to be able to say, okay, I on average take in this amount of money per day that I'm streaming, and so I anticipate that not only will I lose this amount of money for making the trip, I will always lose in this much potential income because my subscribers will drop off, my donations will drop off, obviously, because I won't be streaming as much, or if at all, while I'm at the convention. Now, some people have worked it out so that they're either streaming from like the Intel booth type of situation where they have a mobile setup where they're able to stream from their hotel room. But generally speaking, you'll be streaming a lot less. And so coming up with that cost versus the cost of what gain that you would have from going, and sometimes people try to justify it in, I'm going to be getting some swag, I'm going to be getting some, that kind of thing. Don't think of it in those terms, free games. Don't think of it in those terms. Really the most valuable part for any streamer to go to any of these conventions is the actual networking. It's the actual people connections that you make with other like-minded and then sometimes larger broadcasters even, and some of the doors that become open for it. So it's very hard to put a price tag on networking, but I don't know. Do you think you can put a price tag on this? Do you think you can say that you can offset costs of conventions by the gain that you get out of conventions?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's why I think it actually be
Every convention, like for a year.
All right. So
No.
At what point is it? At what point is it too much?
I mean,
okay. Yeah, go ahead, Chris. I take my point after yours. Go ahead.
I feel like I'm kind of nervous about PAX East. I'm not gonna lie, because it's a bigger convention compared to TwitchCon. Like TwitchCon's like our bread and butter because it's specifically for broadcasting, streaming, stuff like that. Like, of course, Twitch will have a big presence at East, but I'm kind of interested to see how that will go when we were there, because I mean, PAX is a different monster than TwitchCon. It's TwitchCon. I feel like I feel more at home compared to like a PAX, but we'll see.
So I think we should use the term investment, because that's what it is. If you think of it as an investment instead of a waste of money, all of a sudden you can start calculating, okay, what will I gain from this? And that's kind of how a lot of streamers should start thinking, even if it sounds corporate. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's an investment. You invest in either getting to know certain people, or if it's in branding, you invest in your brand to be able to build something bigger. You do all these type of investments, and the more we can use that term instead of spending money, I think that's a good thing. Actually, I think it's a good thing. And talking specifically about networking,
I think it's important. I think it's important too that just people know what they're worth, is, know how much money they need to make per week, know how much money they're worth as far as sponsorship offers, because the same kind of thing for conventions, that you should know what your value is it's the same kind of deal for both the sponsorship. So if you were going to give up a stream as a sponsored stream, how much would that cost you in potential revenue? I think that is the same equivalent thing to knowing how much it takes to go to a convention as well.
Yes, but I kind of feel we're talking about specifically people now streamers that are kind of bigger, but let's then talk about those that are smaller streamers, right? They don't really lose subscribers because they don't have any. They might lose following, but I doubt it that much. So when you're at that smaller point, I really think you should start looking at it as an investment, because you might get a lot out of it. Then again, and unless you actually go there to network, if you go there just to have fun, which is also a good thing you could do. But in general, right, you have to look at it as an investment if you're a small streamer. That's at least my opinion on it.
Okay, well, we've been live for 25 minutes, so we better start moving through these a little bit faster.
Okay. What do we have? We have next topic, Chris.
Next topic would be the awesome guide that Shannon wrote about how to deal with harassment in chat. I feel like Mob could explain a little bit of this since he is a Twitch admin, but I don't know how much detail he could possibly go into. Like, what do you see?
Okay, so here's what I can say. All right, I'll talk about this at the channel level before I talk about kind of the other tools. But at the channel level, if you're being harassed, the first step is to not to make a big overreaction to the harassment. Oftentimes, that's what the bullies are looking for. They're looking to come in, spout off something, find your weak point, and pick on you in such a way that it bothers you. Maybe it bothers you enough to close the stream. Maybe it bothers you in maybe an entertaining way. So the first thing is your reaction. I'm really glad that this article that Shannon wrote talks about that. Typically speaking, bans should be handed out silently and quickly from quality moderators, in compliance with the local channel rules. So that's like step number one. Step number two, this is a really great thing too about this article. It goes through and almost like a levels of escalation where it talks about, all the way from your reaction to the report button. And I really like that people sometimes forget that there are those levels. And so what we don't want is every time that somebody picks on you, every time that there's a bully, you go make a YouTube video, you go spout off on Twitter, or you start to call people out in public, and maybe you took what would have been a very small situation, made it that much larger because you're going straight to the top, so to speak. When in all actuality, Twitch has provided tools for you, more tools than maybe you were even aware of. So the ignore function, for example, to ignore someone who's irritating you, to block them from contacting you, to keep them from whispering you. That might be enough. That you don't necessarily have to go straight to the top of the harassment chart, so to speak, just for something like that. But then the article, goes to talk on about banning, about different chat modes that you can turn on, subs only mode, the emotes only mode if that was to ever get re-enabled, and then all the way to the report function. And obviously we do want people to report, but we want people to report accurately. We want people to read the terms of service and the rules of conduct before the reporting to make sure it's a correct report. We do provide a guide about how to file a whisper report and how to file regular reports. Those are also on the help portal, and I would really encourage people to read those. And make sure that you are including enough information that's accurate and can help us out if it reaches those steps. But obviously there's a whole bunch of levels before it gets to those steps that you can use to protect yourself. And I'm really thankful that Shannon wrote this article, and I think it's really well done.
So Paper Plays asked, how do you handle that when a streamer escalates a situation by responding to those people despite silent execution?
Well, that's sometimes the streamers just can't handle it anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they want to call someone out. Sometimes they want to embarrass the troll. Maybe it's their way of trolling the troll. Maybe it's just their type of reaction. But typically speaking, if it's ban worthy, you just silently, quickly handle it and you pretend like you didn't see it. That's typically the advice that you would give to most broadcasters. Obviously, some broadcasters color outside the lines a little bit, which is fine. That's totally their style. It's fine to do. Problem is, if you don't do it too well, what you could have is a whole channel of trolls just all trying to get the same reaction out of you that you gave that one guy. But that's your call.
Gotcha.
How many people are working on the help section?
Are you talking about how many people write articles for Twitch?
Yeah.
So Shannon is the head of education for Twitch, and she has a lot of help from different departments when she needs help. But I'm not actually sure what the exact number is.
Okay.
But
I just want to say that I love what it became. I was afraid when I first heard about there was going to be a help section, because I didn't know what it was going to be. But now when we've seen it in action, I think it's one of the best resources out there for any streamer of any size to go to and check it out.
Yeah, if Twitch puts it out, it's going to be good. Sometimes there's more resources, on things that Twitch hasn't covered yet, other places, or things that are maybe more subjective. But typically speaking, if Twitch puts it out, it's good.
Yep.
Yeah. So next topic, Chris.
So we can move on. Yeah, we could just talk about the chat replay real quick. That Twitch introduced. They hired the guy from ReChat that was working on the application for BTTV. I think ReChat, it's implemented in some VOD so far, but they're rolling it out slowly over the next few weeks. But I'm pretty excited for it because there's times where I miss a few streams and I have to watch the VODs, and with chat being there, it'll make it that much better, or make me feel like I'm watching it live at least,
Yeah, I love this thing because for a very long time we have seen in overlays we have seen chat in different ways, and hopefully this kind of eliminates that. Not
Yeah,
because
by the way, can I just say that I want the on-screen chat to die now because it
yeah,
literally has no reason to exist and it's taking up valuable screen real estate and it needed it to have died already and now I really hope it does die and I'm saying this somewhat vindictively.
yeah, and I'll echo that in a
Tell
heartbeat.
us how you really feel.
Yeah, exactly.
But I echo that in a heartbeat. I think that's so true. I want it to go away as well. I think it can be implemented in a better way, and I'm working on a specific thing with a developer to kind of make something very unique and specific for that. But that's in a couple of months. But until then, Reshat is going to change the real estate on the screen. And also, speaking about overlays, one thing that I don't think anyone really have started thinking about yet is the fact that so many people are watching streams on mobile,
Yeah.
and be able to read those tiny little letters is not the easiest thing. A lot of things on the screen or overlays today will not work on a mobile screen.
Yeah, I don't think people have mobile screens in mind when they create the overlays, and
No.
so like the lettering on the various alerts. So yeah, I think that's an excellent point actually.
And I think mobile first. A lot of places already go mobile first. When we're talking about creating a website, everyone says mobile first,
Or at
And
least
I think-
responsive. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think that we kind of seeing the numbers that Twitch put out recently on the percentage of people that use mobile to watch streams. We as designers and streamers as well need to start thinking about how to better use the real estate. And again, I'm working on something. I can't say too much, sadly, but I mean, there are things happening behind the scenes that will make that a lot better for the future. But again,
Tell us,
Reshat
Daniel.
is
Tell us.
Yeah, come on, bro, spill the beans.
Well,
Something I
basic-
have seen. Something I have seen is people that make there. There was the guy that made that plugin that took all of the emotes that have been used in the most frequency and was putting them at the top of the chat bar, kind of collecting like a real-time chat reaction to things. So that was kind of interesting.
That's
I mean,
cool.
that was an example
Yeah.
of something that was usable, perhaps. But I think as far as the on-screen overlay of the chat for VOD usage, which is I think the most reason that people did that can go away for sure.
Swazlo made a good point in chat. He said, "You got to remember that people also watch Twitch on Amazon, Xbox, etc. So having chat on screen helps with the viewer know what the streamer is responding to."
That's a good point.
That's
but
true.
how if you're looking at the statistics,
Typically, if you're on Xbox or PS4 or something, you're most likely to watch another Xbox or PS4 user, right? Because the way that it promotes the in-app broadcasts.
I mean, it's pretty much the same, like for all broadcasters across the board. Like, I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
When I was,
There's been some changes to the app too. So I don't own a PS4 or Xbox One. So.
I mean, I think it's an interesting point. But again, looking at statistics, I think that was a really low percentage of people that was using that stuff. But still, I think again, the solution for all of this is dynamic overlays. It really is, and be able to pushing information on the screen.
You're a big pusher of dynamic overlays, but I don't know if it's hit. I don't know if it's hit mainstream yet, but I guess it's coming. Do you have anything you want to say about that? You want to have anything you want to say about dynamic, or you want to just keep that as here's a thing that's coming. Here's a term that you need to know for later.
This is what I'm secretly working on, guys.
Yeah.
This is what I'm working on. But it's already. I think it's already there for big streamers. Big streamers are already using it, and that's.
Yeah, but now that door has been open, there's so much more that can be done with it that hasn't been even done yet, right?
Yeah, and again, but I think every big streamer that's using it right now is kind of using it the same way we're using regular overlays that isn't kind of suited for mobile. But again, I think going mobile first is going to be a big thing very, very soon. Actually, this year probably.
Okay. All right, you want to move on to the next one here?
Yeah. What did you guys think about Lyrics AMA with Discord on the Twitch partner server?
On the what?
Twitch partner
Oh,
server. Like
yeah,
Discord.
yeah. Okay, the lyric one. Yeah. So I didn't like it at all. That's just my opinion. But
Oh boy, here we go.
Wow.
All right, come on. Break down the biggest streamer
Tell us
on
why.
Twitch and tell us why he's wrong.
he isn't wrong.
Here
He
we
isn't
go.
wrong. Listen, he isn't wrong at all. Nothing he said was incorrect. But it's kind of weird putting someone who is an outlier, who someone who is so different from everyone else, who has made his own path to the top, right? And then you put him on the stage and kind of, why are we asking someone that completely went their own path and didn't really follow
Kind of a freak success story.
yeah,
right?
exactly. So I didn't really get the point of it. I think it's a really interesting concept to do, because it's really interesting to picking his brain how it happened to him as an inspiration story. But I don't think people should take it as a guide, because it's such a, what happened with him is such a strange thing. I don't think even he knows what happened, and I think it's the same thing with a lot of big streamers. Many don't know how they got where they are today. But that's just my opinion. But I like that opinion. So yeah, whatever. What did you think? What did you think?
I kind
about
of
it?
agree with you, but then I really don't agree with you at the same time. I think that there's a lot of like mystery behind lyrics still, like who he is as a person, obviously, and a streamer. Granted, yeah, that probably isn't the best to ask advice from him because he doesn't know how he. I mean, he knows how he got there, but he doesn't. Like like you said, he's a unique story. Like it's right time, right place, with a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill and talent, and there you have lyric. But I think the AMA was awesome. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I think that he answered. He answered the questions very well. It was cool that the Twitch partners could ask him questions because they are partnered broadcasters like himself. So if it happened to Lyric, why couldn't it happen to them? Like that's a thing. That's the beauty of the situation is it could help. It could really work or could happen to anybody. You never know.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with that. It was an awesome concept. I think that should happen a lot more, plenty more times. But what you're saying about it could happen to them, well, okay, that's a decent point. But should you really just sit around and wait for it to happen to you randomly, or should you work towards it happening to you? That's the difference.
I mean, I don't think you should like have a mindset like, oh man, like I'm gonna talk to this dude on Discord and be like, I'm gonna wait for this to happen. I feel like they should take what he said and kind of build their own path, like he did himself.
It's a interesting story, and I think you should view it as like you're reading someone's autobiography, and you're seeing if there's any tips in there that you can pull out for yourself. But yeah, by no means is the lyric path going to be working for too many other people. I mean, maybe a couple, but it'd be like winning the lottery. So there's no way that you should be pushing for that. You should not try to be lyric. In fact, this is a good just general advice. Period. Is don't try to be like an existing broadcaster. That path is already pretty much closed to you because once you get closer to the top, the closer that you get to the top and where these other broadcasters already are, the more you'll find that your way is blocked if you're exactly like those other broadcasters. You have a much better time trying to be someone who's unique and has some sort of niche that you're filling that nobody else is filling currently. And there are still plenty of niches. I don't think that we're nearly out of those ideas. I think a lot of people just need to step back from this, take some notes of where everybody is, do some research, and come back with an original idea. And I think that those people who have done that research, I know, stepped away and did research and came back. Future Man stepped away, and General Mitten stepped away from an existing channel and came back. I think, and those guys are doing well now. I think that there's a real lesson to be learned in stepping back, finding what your place is, finding where your niche is, and then moving forward with a new brand and a new mission.
Agreed.
Very true. And yeah, I think everyone should read my blog because I cover all these things on there. So yes, I'm just saying, go read that blog.
It's not time for plugs yet, Daniel.
Yeah, bro, shameless plug. Jeez. It's not that
you
got one more topic to cover.
Get a market. Yeah.
All right, let's cover the next topic, and then we'll do plugs.
The last one,
end.
since we're talking about like Future Man and Co. So 2 days ago, Co announced that a new stream team has come together. It's called New Game Plus, and it features Elohim, Bikeman, Co-Carnage, Diction, Kongfan, Tangent Gaming, and Future Man. This is kind of like an all-star team, in my opinion. They were part of the coalition before, right, Mob? If I'm correct.
All of them, except for maybe one. I can't remember if they all were, but perhaps they all were.
So yeah, so they're pretty much one team now, and then the coalition is still going to be in existence, but they're just kind of separating for now. Not separating; they're still under the same umbrella, but like one's going to be New Game Plus, and the other one's going to be the coalition. I just think it's interesting with all these teams on Twitch now. I'm interested and excited to see what they're going to do. I'm also interested to see what's going to happen for future teams on Twitch. You know, there was something's going down with Main Menu a couple months ago. I was reading. I want to see new teams pop up, but I'm excited for this and see what they have planned for the future.
Okay, so this has been coming for a while. I don't mean that I knew anything before. I just mean that within the coalition, they were still trying to figure out who they were as a team. They had a bunch of original broadcasters that have been around since the beginning, who were maybe a little bit smaller, but then most recently they were noted to have been adding much larger broadcasters. And maybe, it was a kind of an uneven playing field where they weren't able to brand the whole thing consistently because they had such a spectrum. So I really think that this was the smart move to make. I don't know that you would call it necessarily a minor leagues and a major leagues, but it's a little bit of that idea, where you have your up-and-coming streamers, more of a discovery-based team, and then you've got kind of top-of-the-line streamers who are definitely marketable and could be sold as... And it is about business. I mean, make no mistake, it's very much about business at the top-end team, where you're going to have... They said there's going to be a full-time paid manager specifically for the team. I don't think they've announced who the manager will be or anything of that nature, but I do think it's interesting that now you've got new maybe careers opening up on Twitch, and we could talk a long time about that. But I think it's really interesting that he's going to actually need two managers, because he mentions he'll need one for the New Game Plus and mentioned he'll need one for the coalition as well. There's spots that will be filled from within the coalition or organization for a couple of people, and it's going to be really great for them to see this side of things so early in the game, because I think it is still early in this game of teams on Twitch. A couple of teams have really done well. The coalition is known for having done really well, but Main Menu is probably in that discussion as well. And the interesting thing about these teams that do well is they have managers. And they have managers that don't stream, more specifically. And I think that that's an important characteristic of a successful team, to have dedicated staff and volunteers or paid within those teams. I think is the main thing that sets some of these teams apart. And now here we've got maybe two managers, if I'm reading it correctly, for these two different teams. And so, you can tell right away that they're taking it very seriously, that Co has a long-term plan. Co has, intergroup activities that he wants to plan. I think, a lot of other teams out there, if they were organized to this level, could get a lot more company sponsorship and get a lot more, because what's that saying? A rising tide floats all boats, or something like that. Individual success of each one of the team also helps the team as a whole grow. And once you have a good team, you could do some really interesting things. You could be like Nerd Fusion and have a booth at conventions, and you could have signings, and you could have, group events. And those things are really exciting. And I'm really excited for Coalition. I think that this is a great move. Yeah, and these are great people in this New Game Plus. I mean, really cream of the crop people. You have to give them props.
Yep.
And this is something that I predicted a year ago now. Just not this specific thing, but opening up for more career opportunities outside of just being a streamer. And I think it's awesome that we're starting to see more and more of this all over the place. I guess I was kind of off by 1 year, because I predicted it happening last year and it's happening this year. So, but I'm fine with that prediction anyway. But do you think that this is going to be like the next thing for for teams in general to kind of do this instead of just being a team?
Well, I kind of hope so. In one regard, in that regard, is the fact that so many of the teams that exist currently are very, very casual. They're very spread out. Oftentimes, a lot of the team members haven't met the rest of the team members. They have too many members. They have pages of members, and I think having a more focused approach with management is by far going to get teams a lot farther. It's making more use of the idea of teams. But at the same time, that's at the top end. Maybe there is still room, at the lower end if you don't care so much as just being as kind of a social thing that's out there. And I do hope that Twitch makes better tools for team discovery and being able to follow all members of the team a little bit easier and having maybe team scheduling and all this kind of. There's improvements that I hope Twitch makes to the idea of teams, and maybe they will. I don't know any information there, but I like the idea of teams. I used to be a team manager myself, so some of this is kind of near and dear to me.
Okay. But I think that even at the lower end, it's interesting to start seeing these type of things. I know that you can't create a team if you're not a partner streamer, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think that, but I think that creating a team and pulling together resources, even if you're not partnered, can be a really valid strategy. Because you can together then hire someone that over a couple of months said we can help you out, be it a manager or a brand manager or a designer or anything else. You can pull together at a smaller fee. You can push your money together and get a better outcome for things. I think that might be something that will be interesting for smaller streamers at least.
Yeah, we're talking about, like, before we're talking about TwitchCon, about how partners leave or broadcasters leave. Like, what if the team did something outside of, like, an event like PAX or TwitchCon where it was, like, a signing or, like, something like that, or they set up shop or, like, had merch, or, that could, make up for the money lost when they're gone on their, convention trips.
That's true. But talking about smaller teams for a second again, one thing that a lot of times the smaller streamer is concerned about is, getting partnered. And part of partnerships, it's part of it is the community and the networking that the smaller channels have. So I think you have a better chance if you were a smaller streamer and you knew a bunch of other smaller streamers and you were all kind of on the cusp of getting partnership. Maybe you should be banding together. Maybe you should have a team. Maybe you should be cross-promoting each other so that you can all get there. I mean, it doesn't have to be just a social thing to be in a team. It can have specific purposes like that, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point. Was that all the topics we had to cover today?
Yeah, I think we're just about at an hour now, right?
Amazing.
Dude,
yeah,
like the best topic
it came together.
And Moblor didn't pull his hair out with the issues.
Not yet. I'm going to go pull my hair off camera. But yeah, I mean, the team idea we could spend a lot of time on, just because I think it is one of these signs of the future. I think that there's certain inevitable things that will be coming to Twitch, and one of those things is teams and team management. But another inevitable thing is, the rise of the corporations among Twitch. They are among us, these corporate robots with their automatic tracking systems and their predictable. They're trying to predict what you're interested in, and they're trying to make channels that are customized to what they think that you might be interested in. And there's probably going to be panels of people who review things in a very corporate way to see if they're acceptable for brand management. And all this stuff is coming. We know that that there are certain things that are coming to Twitch, and teams and team management are definitely one. I'm thinking back to YouTube. I often sometimes compare some of the trends on Twitch to trends that happened already on YouTube. So there was that big push for a long time on YouTube, which was the content networks, and kind of like teams of teams, I guess you could say. And so that concept might be coming to Twitch as well. There's certain things that you see glimpses of the future, and now that I've seen this tracking report system, you better believe that that's coming to Twitch. Yeah, there's going to be PR people using tools like this in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting to think about where the future is going from here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the future is for Twitch is going to be really interesting. Just to already I'm seeing people using statistics and data to create certain things, and I'm using it. I'm using data from streamers to check out like how did they make that happen, or how did this happen, or data is great, and statistic is also amazing, but it can be used for both good and evil. That's
Evil?
Yeah. Yes.
What's evil about making money?
I live in Sweden, where we have something called socialdemokrati, and yes, we are proud of that. Yeah, so whatever. We're not capitalists.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either.
No, but again, that's my upset. You could go out and create a new channel, just using just data and statistics, and create something that someone will like, and kind of create a streamer, which would be a really interesting experiment to do, which I've been thinking about doing more and more. But yeah, that's why I think it can be a bit dangerous to kind of have that, and specifically having people controlling streams at a higher level than just than faking being authentic instead of just being authentic. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think people can see through fake channels sometimes too, and getting exposed might be a terrible PR thing. So we'll see how that goes. But just in kind of a wrap up here, I saw breaking news that Extra Life released their 2015 fundraising numbers, and they raised $8.3 million for the kids from Extra Life for 2015. Wow. That's a pretty significant chunk. So I was happy to see that. I've streamed for them before, and they're great people.
That's awesome. That's almost half of what Twitch did last year.
Yeah, just by themselves. Pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
Did you guys watch any Pokemon over the weekend? Twitch watches Pokemon. We didn't talk about that topic at all. We had 70,000 plus people at one point, all banding together to watch the animations.
So I tuned into like one of the not the Twitch Plays Pokemon channel, but the other one, and the chat was disabled. I was kind of like turned off by that. It was weird that it was disabled.
So yeah, on the main chat, Nintendo has always been very careful about what they put out there because they want to be an all ages brand. So the main chat, their chat has been disabled, but they had chat available for this Twitch Watches Pokemon channel. I'm really glad they did, because I think one of the most fascinating things about Twitch chats in general is being able to see these new memes and this new language and this new world. I mean, just like when the Twitch Plays Pokemon and the Praise Helix and all of that stuff, it felt like that again. It felt like the Bob Ross ruined and the Bob Ross saved memes again, some of these new things that pop up. I love seeing what comes out of these events, because it always feels like it's of cultural significance when that many people share something like this. Even if you're not particularly interested in the subject matter of Pokemon, it's still interesting as a cultural thing.
So that's I live in a city where it's just couple of kilometers away, miles away, whatever you call it. There's a national television station, and I get to talk with other people at that station because we kind of hang around the same type of people. But the one thing that keeps on being brought up from me is just when they ask me about what Twitch is, and I always tend to bring up Bob Ross, and now I'm going to start to bring up Pokemon as well, as it being kind of almost interactive television. Something that I know that my country is trying to move into, but they have no idea how to move into. They're just a bit behind, and they're also a bit scared of it. But when I start talking about these specific events, because it's not live really. Both of them are like replays, right? So I think that's interesting aspects for um, television companies, at least in my country, to start looking at that more than just being, now we're gonna have someone live stream something. That's
Yeah.
at least what I'm seeing right now.
Are you guys playing any games? I know you've been really busy, Daniel, but do you guys playing any games right now, Chris? Anything?
I played the culling with Freakish.
Oh
I've been
yeah.
playing CS:GO with our
So how would you describe the
CS:GO
culling?
group.
It's basically like a game dedicated to the battle royale mode,
I
right?
love it. I think it's awesome. The melee on it is sick, dude. Like once you learn how to craft everything, then you'll be like better off. But I mean that's like learning curve with any game. But I thought I had a blast in it. I won maybe 3 out of the 7 I played, so that was pretty cool. I felt
Sweet.
like I was doing well.
And another hot game, literally the super hot game has really been doing well for a small independent game without a lot of fanfare shows up. It was a Flash game, I guess, before it was a Steam game, but super hot's been really taking the charts lately. You played that yet?
Not yet. I was planning on getting it. I've been trying to rank in CS:GO, but I suck. And the Discord group I play with, like all the guys in there, we've been playing together, and I'm just so terrible. It's so discouraging.
Yeah. And then of course there's Overwatch, but another one, and I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. Another one that's come up recently is the RPG Stardew Valley. You guys seen anything about this? This kind of showed up in the last couple of days here.
Yeah, I watched a little bit today. It's like almost like Harvest Moon inspired a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Like old school RPG.
Yeah.
I
Anyways.
watched probably about like an hour today or so of it.
I think that's going to be big. It's got kind of the makings of something that could be pretty big on Twitch. It's interesting. It's got a lot of depth to it. Old school RPG. All right. Well, I don't have any more topics that we
Wait,
need
what
to
have
cover
you been
today.
playing, dude? You can't just ask me what I
Overwatch.
played.
Yeah. I haven't really had time to play much other than that. Honestly, every time if I just have a few minutes to kill, I'll just fire off an Overwatch game.
H1's been fun too. H1Z1, King of the Kill.
Yeah.
I've been playing doubles with my buddy Itzke, and we've been like making top 3, but then I can't close, so it's just
Yeah, well.
terrible feeling.
If I had to,
I don't play any games. This is like I haven't played a game in months now. Like I play like solitaire. That's what I play before I go to sleep. That's my jam. Yeah. Okay, cool. Should stream that. That should be cool.
All right, guys. I think that's good. We're like just at our limit.
Well, we're already.
all
Okay.
right. Well,
So
you want to sign us off, Daniel?
Sure. Should I start then? I guess, yeah. So you should check me out. You should check out my blog at blog.livespace.se because then you can read all about the stuff that I do. You should also check out my services at twitch.livespace.se, and you should follow me on Twitter at Visible Speech. Other than that, I don't have much more to say. I got a lot of work to do. So yeah.
Yes, don't we all? Chris, congrats again on your big launch. New
Thank you.
website looks great.
Thank you.
Congrats on 1 year. You got a bunch of giveaway stuff coming up soon. I'm pretty hyped that you're gonna be posting all that stuff up soon. Go full sellout. Tell us what's up.
Yeah. So 1 year. 1 year is technically March 14th is when I started the website, but we're gonna run it for the whole month. The contest. We did a redesign, launched it silently last night, announced it in the beginning of the podcast for those who missed it. It's just to celebrate and kind of thank the community for all the support that we've had over the last year. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's overwhelming at the same time to me because I just came up with this like while I was taking a shower, and now it's turning into something amazing. So yeah, we have giveaways from SteelSeries. Twitch sent us some purple T-shirts. Twinge is giving away a streamer setup, so we're talking everything from webcam, microphone, green screen, headphones, the whole 9. Designed by Humans Gaming is giving away a shopping spree, so it'll be just in time to grab some fresh gear for PAX East. And Elgato is giving away one of their HD60 Pros and a T-shirt. So the giveaways are pretty cool. I think they'll be very useful for people who need them.
Okay, I guess I'll go last. I have some interesting stuff coming up with my research group. So for those of you who don't know, I created this research group, and then it's spawned into much larger things about stream study. And so we're studying gender and toxicity in channels, and that's we have a survey that's going to go out soon, and I hope that I can convince as many people as possible to take this survey. I've brought on a new co-leader, Dr. Todd, who's been kind of taken over, and thankfully, because they have a lot more time as a tenured professor to do the things that need done for this group that I have been unable to do lately. And so yeah, expect some more things to come out soon about that. I'm excited about this StreamerSpace podcast series. I hope that we can keep doing this every other Monday. And yeah,
thank you for
that's all for
coming
me.
out. We appreciate you.
Yep.
And us talk for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could probably talk a lot longer than this, but